These are not technically rumors, they're being given by mainstream sources, so it's pretty confident that this is real, but it's a little bit technical. So what's happening? Essentially, two prequel series are being pitched at HBO. I'm not going to go through the whole technical details of what a pitch is, but essentially a pitch is when a studio or executive producer are going to be very confident they want a project to be accomplished, and they're willing to listen to what will happen if the series will go forward. So there are two series that are going to be pitched to HBO. One of them is Dunk and Egg, and the other is Robert's Rebellion. Now, ironically, George R. R. Martin himself is actually very pessimistic about both of these because he's made clear of all the prequel series that were being sort of floated about, these are the ones he doesn't want to actually happen because both the stories are sort of incomplete, and it's going to take a while for him to get back to it because he's doing A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I know I do material for GRRM specifically, and I know some subscribers do not want me to talk about Star Wars, but I really can't avoid the Star Wars factor because I think that's what's really playing a role in this. Now, just a few years ago, it was widely reported that HBO was actually pulling back on doing a lot of Game of Thrones material, and I reported this last year. So was my reporting wrong? And the answer is no. At that time, it was very accurate, but they've clearly changed their minds. So what happened? Well, in two simple words, The Mandalorian, or specifically Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Only a few months ago, Lucasfilm unveiled a huge amount of new shows that they're going to put on Disney+. And I think the HBO executives have clearly changed their mind of what the focus is going to be. HBO is owned by AT&T, which owns the WB, which means it owns DC. So it has control of a lot of superhero content. And they're going to put that on HBO Max. But again, in terms of the television, their biggest brand name is still Game of Thrones. So not surprisingly, they're going to turn to Game of Thrones to try to get a lot of subscribers to HBO Max. And it seems like this is a kind of midway compromise between the kind of fallout with Season 8, which had a huge damaging effect on the brand, but also kind of trying to attract new people. Because Dunk and Egg and Robert's Rebellion are sort of curious. Dunk and Egg does have source material, it has novels and stories, but Robert's Rebellion does not. It's really strange. It's basically a large story that's interspersed within various novels, but it's not really its own standalone story. You can't go to the stores and say, hey, can I get the book on Robert's Rebellion? There really isn't any. It's basically a story that's stitched together through flashback. So we can piece together what happened with Robert's Rebellion, but we don't really know what totally happened. We don't know the full story. And even if we did, it's a large story, but the way it's told, it wouldn't be enough for an entire series. So what's going to happen and what's going to be done moving forward? Well, HBO really has only two choices. Either they can radically expand the material to fit a full-blown television series in each case, or they can go with a limited series or a series of movies and just do a really big production and try to work with the story that George has given them. I think they're going to try to just expand the material to do two big series on their own, if, again, they move forward, which seems to be that they're going to go and move forward because these stories feature a lot of characters that we like. Even though Dunk and Egg is not directly within the world of Westeros in terms of Game of Thrones, it is a prequel novel, but a lot of fan favorites do show up in these other stories. We're essentially getting younger versions of Robert, Cersei, and other fan favorites, Jaime, Tywin, and others. So we can obviously see the attraction for HBO that they can build off the brand of Game of Thrones and essentially give characters a lot of nostalgia, feelings, and things like that, and serve the audience that liked Game of Thrones, at least in its early seasons, but didn't like the later seasons. But again, these are pitches. It's not clear this will really happen. So at this point, they're being developed, but it's really confident that they will be developed and really actualized. So the next step is who is behind this? Well, thankfully, D&D are not behind this, so that's a really good sign. And the people who did Rome for HBO, which I really liked back when it was on, are also doing this. So it seems like they're getting good people to be behind these projects. But again, once more, these are pitches and they're sort of reactionary, that they're being done in reaction to what Lucasfilm did. So we can take them sort of one of two ways. This is sort of HBO trying to tap into nostalgia feeling for the audiences, but also move forward. But again, they're using source material which is not really fitted well for a television series or two television series. All right, so this is the latest news with the GRRMverse and how it's interacting or responding to the Star Wars verse. If you like the content, please hit the like button and or subscribe. Please leave a comment below. Please consider supporting the work on Patreon. Thank you for listening.